Anger and irritation are natural emotions, often stemming from interactions with people or situations that challenge our expectations or disrupt our peace. However, the ability to remain unbothered and composed is not just a skill, it's a mindset that can be cultivated through deliberate practice and understanding. Today, I want to share with you insights on how to build resilience against external provocations and foster an inner calm so strong that no one, not even the most challenging individual, can disturb your peace. To start, we need to understand why we get angry or bothered in the first place. At its core, anger is a reaction to unmet expectations or perceived threats, whether they're directed at our ego, values, or sense of fairness. It arises from within us, triggered by the stories we tell ourselves about what's happening around us. Recognizing this internal origin of anger is empowering because it means we are not at the mercy of others' actions or words. Instead, we have the choice to control how we respond. Imagine a scenario where someone insults you or undermines your efforts. The initial sting often feels personal, and the instinct to retaliate or feel upset can be overwhelming. But here's the truth: the insult itself holds no inherent power. Its impact depends entirely on how much weight you give it. If you choose to see the insult as a reflection of the other person's insecurities or misunderstandings, rather than a judgment of your worth, its power dissipates. This perspective shift is the foundation of emotional resilience. Building this resilience requires a deep commitment to self-awareness. By observing your emotional triggers and patterns, you begin to understand how your mind reacts in various situations. For instance, you might notice that certain comments or behaviors consistently push your buttons. Instead of viewing these moments as obstacles, see them as opportunities to practice staying calm. Pause, take a deep breath, and remind yourself that your reaction is under your control. Over time, this habit of mindful response becomes second nature. Another critical aspect of remaining unbothered is developing empathy and compassion, even for those who seem to test your patience. It's not easy to feel compassion for someone who appears intent on causing you distress, but often their behavior stems from their struggles, fears, or frustrations. When you view others through this lens, their actions lose their sting. You begin to see them not as adversaries, but as individuals navigating their challenges just like you. This doesn't mean condoning harmful behavior. It means refusing to let it affect your inner peace. Let's talk about boundaries, an essential yet often overlooked tool in maintaining emotional balance. Being unbothered doesn't mean tolerating disrespect or mistreatment. It means knowing when and how to assertively set limits with others. Clear boundaries communicate your values and protect your well-being without resorting to anger or hostility. For example, if someone consistently speaks to you in a way that feels disrespectful, calmly letting them know how you wish to be treated reinforces your self-respect and prevents unnecessary conflict. Practicing gratitude is another powerful antidote to anger and irritation. When you shift your focus to the positive aspects of your life, the small annoyances and provocations lose significance. Gratitude helps you cultivate a mindset of abundance, where you're less likely to dwell on what others say or do. Each time you feel anger bubbling up, take a moment to reflect on something you're grateful for. This simple practice can transform your perspective in an instant. Furthermore, learning to let go is vital. Often we cling to anger or grudges because we feel justified in our emotions. But holding on to these feelings only prolongs our suffering. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting or excusing hurtful actions, it means freeing yourself from their grip. One effective way to practice letting go is through forgiveness, not for the sake of the other person, but for your peace of mind. Forgiveness is an act of self-liberation, a way to unshackle yourself from the emotional weight of resentment. A calm and unshakable mind also requires a certain degree of detachment. This doesn't mean becoming indifferent or apathetic, rather it's about not tying your sense of self-worth to external validation or outcomes. When you detach from the need to control how others perceive you or how situations unfold, you release yourself from a significant source of frustration. Detachment allows you to remain centered and unaffected by external turbulence. Lastly, nurturing a consistent practice of mindfulness and self-care is essential. Meditation, journaling, or even simple breathing exercises can help you stay grounded and cultivate an inner sanctuary of calm. These practices train your mind to respond, rather than react, creating a space between stimulus and response where you can choose peace over anger. It's important to remember that becoming unbothered by others is a journey, not a destination. There will be moments when anger arises, and that's okay. What matters is how quickly you recognize it, process it, and return to your equilibrium. Every step you take toward mastering your emotions strengthens your ability to navigate life with grace and composure. The key to never being angry or bothered by anyone lies within you. It's about reclaiming your power and choosing how you respond to the world around you. When you embrace this mindset, you become unshakable, a person who radiates calm, no matter the circumstances. And in doing so, you not only improve your own quality of life, but also inspire others to cultivate their inner peace. So take this journey with confidence, knowing that you have the strength to rise above any provocation and remain unwaveringly serene. Understanding the source of anger is essential for managing it effectively. At its core, anger is an emotional response to perceived threats, injustices, or unmet expectations. It arises when there's a disconnect between how we believe things should be and how they actually are. This emotion is rooted in our survival instincts, originally designed to alert us to danger and mobilize us for action. However, in modern life, anger often stems from less tangible threats, such as damage to our ego, values, or sense of fairness. One critical aspect of understanding anger is recognizing that it is a reaction, not a cause. External events or people do not directly create anger, rather, it is our interpretation of those events that triggers the emotion. For example, if someone interrupts you during a conversation, your anger might arise not from the interruption itself, but from the belief that they disrespected or devalued you. The narrative we construct around an event determines how intensely we feel anger. Anger also serves as a mask for deeper emotions like fear, hurt, or frustration. For instance, when someone criticizes your work, you might feel anger outwardly, but beneath it lies a fear of inadequacy or rejection. By identifying the underlying emotion, you can address the root cause of your feelings rather than merely reacting to the surface level anger. Understanding that anger originates from within gives you the power to manage it. It shifts the focus from blaming external triggers to examining your inner responses. This awareness allows you to pause, reflect, and choose a constructive reaction instead of letting anger dictate your behavior. Recognizing the source of anger is the first step toward emotional resilience and lasting peace. Recognizing the power of perspective is a transformative practice that can significantly alter how we experience and respond to situations, especially when dealing with anger. Perspective is the lens through which we view the world, and it shapes how we interpret the actions of others and the events that occur in our lives. Our thoughts and beliefs play a crucial role in determining whether we feel provoked or at peace in the face of challenges. When we experience anger, it's often because we view a situation as unfair, threatening, or hurtful. However, this perspective is not always the only way to interpret what's happening. For example, if someone cuts in front of you in line, you might feel angered, assuming that they are being rude or disrespectful. But if you shift your perspective and consider that the person might be in a rush due to an emergency or simply not noticing the line, the situation doesn't trigger the same emotional response. This shift in perspective reduces the likelihood of anger and allows you to remain calm. By adopting a broader perspective, we can recognize that everyone is navigating their own struggles, fears, and insecurities. When we understand that other people's actions often reflect their inner battles rather than personal attacks against us, we are less likely to feel offended or angry. Perspective also helps us detach from the need to be right or have things go our way. When we let go of rigid expectations and accept that life is unpredictable, we free ourselves from unnecessary frustration. Ultimately, recognizing the power of perspective empowers us to choose how we respond. We are no longer slaves to external circumstances, but active participants in shaping our emotional experiences. By consciously shifting our viewpoint, we can transform potential anger into understanding, patience, and peace. Cultivating self-awareness is a fundamental step in mastering emotional control and preventing anger from taking over our lives. Self-awareness involves recognizing and understanding our thoughts, emotions, and reactions in real time, which empowers us to choose how we respond to various situations. When we are aware of our internal states, we become less reactive and more intentional in our behavior, allowing us to manage our emotions more effectively. One of the first steps in cultivating self-awareness is observing our emotional triggers. This requires paying attention to the situations, words, or behaviors of others that spark anger or irritation within us. By identifying these triggers, we can begin to understand the underlying beliefs or expectations that drive our emotional responses. For example, if we get angry when someone interrupts us, it might reflect a deeper need for validation or respect. Recognizing this allows us to address the root cause of the emotion, rather than just reacting impulsively. In addition to observing our triggers, self-awareness involves checking in with ourselves regularly to assess how we're feeling. This can be done through practices such as mindfulness or journaling, where we pause and reflect on our emotional state throughout the day. When we notice anger beginning to build, we can take a moment to breathe, acknowledge the emotion, and decide whether we want to engage with it or let it go. Another key component of self-awareness is recognizing the stories we tell ourselves. Often, anger arises from the narratives we create around events. For instance, when someone cuts us off in traffic, we may immediately assume that they are being disrespectful or careless. By challenging these automatic interpretations and questioning their validity, we can avoid unnecessary anger and respond with greater composure. Cultivating self-awareness also requires self-compassion. As we become more attuned to our emotional patterns, we may realize that we sometimes act out of frustration or hurt. Rather than being harsh with ourselves for experiencing anger, we can approach ourselves with kindness and understanding. This self-compassion allows us to process emotions without judgment and move forward with greater emotional intelligence. Ultimately, self-awareness is the foundation for emotional mastery. By being more in tune with our thoughts and emotions, we can break free from reactive patterns and choose to respond in a way that aligns with our values and promotes inner peace. The more we practice self-awareness, the easier it becomes to manage our emotions and avoid being overwhelmed by anger. Practicing empathy and compassion is a powerful tool in managing anger and remaining unbothered by others' actions. When we practice empathy, we put ourselves in the shoes of others, seeking to understand their feelings, experiences, and perspectives. Compassion goes a step further by not only understanding others' struggles, but also feeling a desire to alleviate their suffering. Both empathy and compassion can transform how we respond to challenging situations and people who might otherwise trigger negative emotions. When someone behaves in a way that irritates or angers us, it's easy to view their actions as a personal attack or intentional harm. However, practicing empathy allows us to shift this perspective. Instead of assuming malice or disrespect, we start to wonder what might be motivating their behavior. Perhaps they are dealing with stress, insecurity, or personal challenges that are influencing their actions. By imagining the circumstances they might be facing, we can recognize that their behavior is more about their internal struggles than about us. For example, if a colleague snaps at you during a meeting, instead of reacting with anger, you might pause and consider the possibility that they are overwhelmed with their own work or facing pressures outside of the office. This understanding can soften your emotional reaction, making it easier to remain calm and composed rather than responding with frustration or irritation. Passion takes this understanding a step further. It allows us to respond to others with kindness, even when they don't behave in a way we find agreeable. When we approach others with compassion, we stop seeing them as sources of frustration and start viewing them as individuals who, like ourselves, are navigating difficult emotions and experiences. Instead of retaliating or withdrawing, we may offer a listening ear, a kind word, or a simple gesture of support. Moreover, practicing empathy and compassion benefits us as well. It helps us let go of resentment, frustration, and anger, freeing us from emotional baggage that would otherwise weigh us down. By offering understanding to others, we cultivate an inner peace that isn't easily shaken by external provocations. Empathy and compassion also strengthen our relationships by fostering trust and mutual respect. When others feel understood and valued, they are less likely to behave in ways that trigger negative emotions. And when we model compassion, we inspire others to adopt the same mindset, creating a ripple effect of kindness and understanding. Ultimately, practicing empathy and compassion is a way to protect our own emotional well-being, while also promoting a more harmonious environment around us. It allows us to navigate the challenges of life with grace and patience, recognizing that everyone is facing their own struggles. By embracing empathy and compassion, we can transform anger into understanding, irritation into tolerance, and conflict into connection. Setting and maintaining healthy boundaries is an essential practice for preserving emotional well-being and preventing anger from taking over. Boundaries are the limits we set with others to protect our time, energy, and emotions. They define how we expect to be treated and ensure that we maintain respect for ourselves in all interactions. Without clear boundaries, we are more susceptible to feeling overwhelmed, disrespected, or taken advantage of, which can lead to frustration and anger. On the other hand, when we set and uphold healthy boundaries, we foster a sense of control and personal empowerment that enables us to navigate relationships with greater ease. The first step in setting healthy boundaries is recognizing what we need in different situations. This requires self-awareness and a deep understanding of our values, limits, and what we're willing to tolerate. For example, if someone repeatedly interrupts you in conversations, it's important to recognize that this behavior disrupts your sense of respect and makes you feel frustrated. Once you identify this, you can establish a boundary around the need for undisturbed communication. Communicating boundaries clearly and assertively is the next crucial step. It's not enough to silently tolerate behavior that crosses your limits. You must express your boundaries to others in a respectful and confident way. This can be as simple as saying, "I would appreciate it if you could wait until I finish speaking," or "I need some time to myself right now." The key is to be direct, calm, and firm without being aggressive. Healthy boundaries involve speaking up for yourself without feeling guilty or apologizing for asserting your needs. Maintaining boundaries requires consistency. If we set a boundary but fail to enforce it, we send mixed signals and allow others to disregard our limits. For instance, if you set the boundary that you don't work on weekends, but make an exception every time someone asks for your help, you're teaching others that your boundaries are negotiable. This inconsistency can lead to feelings of resentment and eventually anger. By sticking to your boundaries, you teach others to respect your time and needs. It's also important to recognize that setting boundaries doesn't mean building walls or being rigid. Boundaries are about self-respect, not shutting people out or refusing to engage. They are flexible enough to allow healthy relationships to flourish while ensuring that you are not compromising your own well-being. Boundaries can evolve as circumstances change, and it's okay to adjust them when needed, as long as you communicate these changes clearly. Another aspect of maintaining healthy boundaries is learning to say no. Many people struggle with saying no, fearing that it will lead to conflict or disappointment. However, saying no is a powerful way to protect your time and emotional energy. It's important to remember that saying no doesn't make you selfish, it makes you responsible for your own needs. When you say no, you're prioritizing your own well-being, which ultimately allows you to be more present and available when you do say yes. Healthy boundaries also involve self-care. Taking time for yourself, engaging in activities that recharge you, and creating space for rest and relaxation are all essential to maintaining emotional balance. When we neglect our own needs, we become more vulnerable to stress and irritation, which can fuel anger. Regularly practicing self-care ensures that you have the emotional resources to deal with challenges in a calm and composed manner. Finally, it's important to recognize that not everyone will respect your boundaries right away, and that's okay. Some people may push back or test your limits. When this happens, it's essential to reaffirm your boundaries calmly and consistently. If someone continues to disregard your boundaries, you may need to reevaluate the relationship or the dynamics involved. In such cases, maintaining your boundary is an act of self-preservation. By setting and maintaining healthy boundaries, we not only protect our emotional health, but also foster more respectful and harmonious relationships. Boundaries give us the freedom to be ourselves without fear of overextending, and they create space for personal growth and inner peace. With clear, healthy boundaries in place, we become less susceptible to anger or frustration, as we feel secure in our own needs and empowered to handle challenges with grace. Harnessing the power of gratitude is a profound way to cultivate emotional resilience and prevent anger from taking hold. Gratitude shifts our focus from what is lacking or frustrating in our lives to what is positive and fulfilling. It helps us reframe situations, giving us a more balanced perspective and reducing the emotional weight of minor annoyances or provocations. When practiced regularly, gratitude not only elevates our mood, but also strengthens our ability to navigate difficult situations with calm and composure. One of the key aspects of gratitude is that it trains our minds to notice the good in our lives, no matter how small. When we focus on what we're thankful for, we direct our energy toward positive thoughts, which naturally reduces the mental space available for anger. For example, if you're stuck in traffic and someone cuts you off, instead of becoming angry, you could shift your attention to the fact that you're driving safely, that you have a car, or that you're heading to a place you enjoy. This shift in focus diminishes the emotional intensity of the situation and helps you respond with greater patience. Gratitude also enhances our emotional intelligence by fostering a mindset of abundance rather than scarcity. People who regularly practice gratitude tend to feel more content with their lives because they are focused on what they have rather than what they lack. This sense of abundance makes us less likely to feel threatened by others' actions or words. When we feel grateful for the positive aspects of our own lives, we are less likely to take offense when others act in ways we don't agree with. Instead of reacting with irritation or resentment, we are able to maintain a more compassionate and understanding viewpoint. Additionally, gratitude is a powerful tool for managing stress and frustration. When faced with challenges or setbacks, it's easy to fall into a negative mindset and allow anger to take over. However, taking a moment to reflect on the things you're grateful for can shift your mental state. For instance, if you're dealing with a difficult colleague, instead of focusing on their behavior, you can express gratitude for the opportunity to learn patience or practice communication skills. This perspective transforms obstacles into opportunities for growth, preventing anger from taking root. A consistent gratitude practice can also help reduce feelings of entitlement, which often lead to frustration and anger. When we expect things to go exactly as we want, any deviation from our expectations can trigger irritation. Gratitude, on the other hand, encourages us to appreciate what we have, even when things don't go according to plan. It reminds us that life is not about constant perfection, but about finding joy in the journey and the little moments along the way. One way to harness the power of gratitude is through a daily gratitude practice, where you intentionally reflect on the things you are grateful for. This can be done in a journal, by making a mental list, or through verbal expression with a friend or loved one. By making gratitude a habit, you train your brain to focus on positive aspects of your life, shifting your mindset over time. It also serves as a reminder that even in difficult times, there is always something to be thankful for. Moreover, expressing gratitude toward others can strengthen relationships and reduce potential sources of anger. When we take the time to appreciate others, whether it's thanking a colleague for their support or acknowledging a loved one for their kindness, we create a more positive, nurturing environment. This helps to foster goodwill and reduces the likelihood of misunderstandings or conflicts that could otherwise lead to anger. Gratitude not only helps in the moment, but also has long-term benefits for our emotional health. It has been shown to improve overall well-being, increase resilience, and enhance happiness. People who practice gratitude regularly tend to have better mental health, stronger relationships, and greater emotional stability. These benefits contribute to a more peaceful mindset, making it easier to remain unbothered by the actions of others and navigate life with a sense of calm. In essence, harnessing the power of gratitude shifts the focus from what disturbs or irritates us to what nurtures and uplifts us. By adopting a grateful mindset, we can reduce anger, improve our emotional resilience, and cultivate a more positive, peaceful outlook on life. Whether it's through simple daily reflections or more deliberate acts of appreciation, gratitude helps us stay grounded, present, and unaffected by the challenges that life presents. Developing detachment from external validation is a crucial practice for maintaining emotional peace and reducing the impact of anger and frustration. When we rely on external sources such as approval from others, success, or material possessions for our sense of self-worth, we become vulnerable to feeling upset or diminished when things don't go as we hope. On the other hand, detaching from this need for validation allows us to maintain inner peace, regardless of external circumstances or how others perceive us. At the heart of detachment from external validation is the understanding that our self-worth is inherent and not dependent on external approval or outcomes. When we base our sense of value on external factors, we place our emotional well-being in the hands of others or circumstances, which can be unpredictable and beyond our control. This creates a constant cycle of seeking approval, striving for success, or accumulating material goods, all in the hope of feeling validated. However, this can be exhausting and ultimately unfulfilling. Detaching from external validation means shifting focus inward. It involves recognizing and affirming your own worth, regardless of others' opinions or external achievements. For example, instead of feeling upset if someone criticizes your work or dismisses your efforts, you can remind yourself of your intrinsic value and acknowledge that your worth does not depend on someone else's approval. This mindset allows you to stay grounded and unaffected by external judgments, freeing you from unnecessary frustration and anger. One way to develop detachment from external validation is to practice self-reflection and self-compassion. When you take time to reflect on your values, strengths, and accomplishments, you begin to reinforce a sense of internal validation. By focusing on your personal growth and embracing your uniqueness, you learn to validate yourself rather than seeking validation from others. This practice nurtures self-confidence and helps you develop a deeper sense of fulfillment that doesn't rely on external praise. Another important aspect of detachment is learning to let go of the need to control how others perceive you. Often, anger arises when we feel misunderstood or when others treat us unfairly. However, when we detach from the need for others' approval, we release the pressure to control their perceptions and stop internalizing their judgments. We realize that their opinions reflect their own perspectives, not our worth. As a result, we are free to live authentically without worrying about pleasing others or seeking their approval. Mindfulness is a key practice that supports detachment from external validation. When we are mindful, we stay present and aware of our own thoughts and emotions without attaching to them. By observing our reactions to external stimuli, such as compliments, criticisms, or successes, we can develop a healthier relationship with external feedback. Instead of automatically reacting with pride, shame, or anger, we can pause and choose a response that aligns with our true values. Detaching from external validation also means letting go of the need for perfection. When we define ourselves based on external achievements, we become attached to outcomes, and any deviation from our ideal can lead to frustration or anger. Instead, by embracing imperfection and viewing each experience as a learning opportunity, we free ourselves from the pressure of constantly proving ourselves to others. This mindset shift reduces the emotional charge of external events and allows us to maintain a sense of peace, even when things don't go according to plan. By developing detachment from external validation, we also become more resilient in the face of challenges. We learn to trust our own judgment and inner resources, rather than relying on others' opinions to dictate our actions or emotions. This autonomy helps us remain steady and composed, even when external circumstances are challenging or unpredictable. Ultimately, detaching from external validation is about reclaiming our power and finding fulfillment within ourselves. When we no longer depend on the approval or recognition of others, we are free to pursue our goals and desires from a place of authenticity and self-assurance. This inner strength prevents us from being easily swayed by others' opinions or the outcome of external events, helping us stay emotionally balanced and focused on what truly matters to us. Learning to let go is an essential skill in cultivating emotional peace and resilience. It involves releasing attachment to past hurts, negative emotions, unfulfilled expectations, and outcomes we cannot control. Letting go allows us to move forward in life without carrying the emotional weight of grudges, regrets, or frustrations. When we learn to let go, we free ourselves from the grip of anger, resentment, and stress, creating space for inner calm, acceptance, and growth. One of the first steps in learning to let go is recognizing what we are holding on to. Often, we hold on to negative emotions such as anger, guilt, or fear because they are familiar and comfortable, even if they are painful. We may cling to grudges, replay past arguments, or ruminate over things that have already happened. However, holding on to these emotions only keeps us trapped in the past and prevents us from experiencing peace in the present. Identifying what we are holding on to is crucial because it allows us to acknowledge the impact it has on our emotional state and begin the process of release. Letting go also requires accepting that some things are beyond our control. Many of our frustrations stem from trying to control or change things that are simply not ours to control: other people's actions, circumstances, or the past. By acknowledging that we cannot change these things, we stop wasting energy trying to make them different and instead focus on what we can control: our reactions and attitudes. Acceptance does not mean approval of the situation. It simply means recognizing reality as it is and choosing to respond with calm and clarity. Forgiveness is a key component of letting go. Holding on to anger or resentment toward others only keeps us emotionally tied to the situation, allowing the negative emotions to continue affecting our well-being. Forgiving others, whether they have wronged us intentionally or unintentionally, does not mean excusing their behavior. It means freeing ourselves from the emotional burden of carrying that hurt. Forgiveness is an act of self-liberation, allowing us to release the past and move forward without being weighed down by old wounds. Learning to let go also involves relinquishing expectations. When we hold on to rigid expectations of how things should be, we set ourselves up for disappointment and frustration. Life is unpredictable, and things rarely unfold exactly as we envision. Letting go of unrealistic or fixed expectations allows us to approach situations with greater flexibility and openness. It also helps us accept that, while we can control our efforts and intentions, we cannot always control the outcome. This shift in mindset helps us embrace uncertainty with peace rather than anxiety or anger. Mindfulness and meditation are powerful tools for learning to let go. These practices teach us to observe our thoughts and emotions without becoming attached to them. When we practice mindfulness, we learn to acknowledge our feelings of anger or frustration, then release them without judgment or reaction. This non-attachment allows us to experience our emotions without letting them dominate our behavior. Regular mindfulness practice helps us develop the habit of letting go in real time so that when difficult emotions arise, we can release them and return to a state of calm. Another important aspect of letting go is self-compassion. Sometimes we hold on to negative emotions because we believe we should have handled a situation differently, or because we feel guilty about past mistakes. However, holding on to self-criticism only perpetuates feelings of shame and frustration. Instead, practicing self-compassion means treating ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that we would offer a friend in a similar situation. By letting go of self-blame and embracing forgiveness for ourselves, we can heal and move forward more freely. Learning to let go is not an instant process. It requires patience, practice, and a willingness to release what no longer serves us. It involves letting go of the need for control, the weight of past pain, the grip of anger, and the burden of unmet expectations. As we practice this release, we create space for peace, joy, and growth. Letting go empowers us to live in the present moment, free from the emotional baggage of the past and open to the possibilities of the future. Ultimately, learning to let go is a path to emotional freedom. By releasing what no longer serves us, we free ourselves from the chains of negative emotions and create room for healing, clarity, and peace. Letting go doesn't mean we forget or deny our experiences. It means we choose to stop letting them define our present and our future. It's a powerful way to reclaim our inner peace and emotional well-being, allowing us to face life's challenges with grace and resilience. Acknowledging the journey of emotional mastery is an essential step in cultivating long-term emotional resilience and peace. Emotional mastery is not an endpoint or a final destination. Rather, it is an ongoing process of growth, learning, and self-awareness. It involves the ability to understand, manage, and respond to emotions in a healthy and constructive way, regardless of external circumstances. However, the path to emotional mastery is unique for each person and requires patience, practice, and a willingness to embrace challenges along the way. The journey of emotional mastery begins with self-awareness, the foundation of emotional intelligence. Recognizing our emotions as they arise and understanding their underlying causes is the first step toward gaining control over them. It means acknowledging not just surface-level feelings, but the deeper needs, beliefs, and experiences that contribute to how we react in different situations. By becoming more aware of our emotional triggers and patterns, we can begin to take responsibility for how we respond, rather than simply reacting impulsively. Emotional mastery also involves accepting that we will experience a wide range of emotions, including those that are difficult, uncomfortable, or seemingly negative. Rather than suppressing or denying emotions like anger, sadness, or frustration, we learn to honor them as valid experiences that provide valuable insights. Accepting these emotions without judgment is key to releasing the hold they have on us. Through this acceptance, we begin to shift from a place of resistance to a place of understanding and processing, allowing us to move through emotions with greater ease. The journey of emotional mastery requires self-compassion and the recognition that we will not always be perfect in managing our emotions. There will be moments when we slip up, when we react with anger or frustration, or when we find ourselves overwhelmed by feelings. These moments are not failures, they are opportunities for growth and learning. By approaching ourselves with kindness and understanding, we can avoid self-criticism and continue moving forward on our path. Emotional mastery is not about eliminating emotions or always being in control. It is about developing the tools to respond to our emotions in a way that aligns with our values and goals. Another key aspect of emotional mastery is learning how to regulate emotions in real time. This involves using techniques such as deep breathing, mindfulness, or cognitive reframing to calm ourselves down when strong emotions arise. Developing emotional regulation skills allows us to prevent impulsive reactions and choose more constructive responses. It also empowers us to navigate difficult conversations, challenging situations, interpersonal conflicts with calm and composure. As we progress along the journey of emotional mastery, we also learn to cultivate emotional intelligence in our relationships. Understanding and empathizing with the emotions of others helps us to respond with compassion rather than judgment or defensiveness. One of the most important aspects of emotional mastery is the ability to let go of the need for external validation. As we become more in tune with our own emotions and reactions, we realize that our sense of self-worth is not dependent on the approval of others. Emotional mastery involves developing the inner strength to trust our own judgment and decisions, rather than seeking constant reassurance or validation from outside sources. This internal validation strengthens our emotional resilience and enables us to remain grounded in our own truth. Throughout the journey of emotional mastery, we also learn the value of setting healthy boundaries and prioritizing self-care. Boundaries allow us to protect our emotional energy and maintain a sense of balance, while self-care ensures that we are nurturing our mental, emotional, and physical well-being. Taking time to recharge, reflect, and care for ourselves is essential for staying emotionally centered, especially when faced with stress or challenges. The journey of emotional mastery is ultimately about embracing growth, change, and self-improvement. It is a dynamic process that requires us to continuously assess our emotional responses, reflect on our experiences, and adjust our behaviors accordingly. By recognizing that emotional mastery is a lifelong journey, we free ourselves from the pressure of perfection and allow ourselves to embrace the learning process. Every challenge, every emotion, and every experience becomes an opportunity for growth on this journey. In conclusion, acknowledging the journey of emotional mastery is about understanding that emotional growth is not a destination but an ongoing practice. It involves becoming more aware of our emotions, accepting them, and learning to respond in a way that aligns with our values and enhances our well-being. With patience, self-compassion, and dedication, we can continue to refine our emotional skills, navigating life with greater peace, resilience, and emotional intelligence. In closing, remember that emotional mastery is not a fixed state, but an ongoing journey. It's a process of growth, self-discovery, and resilience. Each day offers an opportunity to deepen our understanding of ourselves, to manage our emotions in healthier ways, and to build stronger connections with those around us. By practicing self-awareness, empathy, forgiveness, and resilience, we empower ourselves to face life's challenges with grace and calm. It's not about never feeling anger or frustration. It's about learning how to respond in ways that serve us and ultimately help us create more peace and joy in our lives. The journey may not always be easy, but the rewards of emotional mastery are invaluable. Embrace the process, trust in your ability to grow, and remember that you have the power to shape your emotional world. Thank you for being open to this journey of emotional growth, and may you move forward with greater peace, understanding, and emotional strength.